I'm good.
I'll try. This is pretty. I don't know how you. Man, it's gonna look awesome. And I like it, that's why it took me 3 hours to transfer. Because all my pictures, yeah. And what I should have. Went on, got my phone. Folder thing on mine, and I just played it on the phone. But it transferred, voice to text. Oh, yeah. You can do that voice to text. And I'll see that, and send it back to myself in an email. Because it's been all year.
Those are good.
As long as everybody comes spoke, I mean, most people. But even if they did that, they'll cross their point and drive like, what's the thing? Like, yeah, I was trying to type it all out, you know.
Oh, my. Wow, well, you know, it's eight there.
Scott, here is the best.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just like, waiting for it.
Yeah, that was nice. That's pretty. So then what good? Yeah, another 15 minutes, you know, that's. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that's.
Okay.
Pretty good.
So. Some cool stuff. Yeah, totally. About that, and then it's. You have. That's. See, he's got his answers himself. It's just. What does he want to do? That's what I saw. So everybody. I use that building plan, you know, they do the electrical stuff, right? Donald wants something to say about it. That's why I said.
Everywhere I go back. With names. And there's no way I'm right, so down that way. If I'm supposed to be out, it's supposed to. It's still pretty difficult stuff. Especially what I definitely did not last time.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, that's why I did that, because I missed the first time.
Yep. I got 2 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I will start with the introductions. I'm Jeremy Tans with Sealand Regional Planning Commission and current MPO chair.
Alex Jackson, civil staff.
There we go.
Wayne Hodges, Mayor Jackson.
Jim Roach, City of Jackson.
Rodney Bullinger, City of Jackson.
Tom Caldwell, IDOT.
Mark Corkin, MoDOT.
Chris Crocker, MoDOT.
Joe Killian, Mona.
Marvel Mills, Engineering and civil staff. Mandy Brink, Seaboard.
Drew Christian, Sealand RPC.
Jenny Smith, CTA.
Robert Herbst, Cape County.
Katrina Amos, Cape Airport.
And online we have Betsy Tracy of Federal Highways. We'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Motion from second Jim, second from Charlie, all in favor? Any opposed? Approval of the minutes, Jim, the copy is there. You had a chance to review those. Accept a motion.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second. All right, we have a motion from Jim, the second from Mayor Haas. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Have no communications at this time, so we'll need public comments. See, done. We'll move on to doing unfinished business. Cruise through. Item A, Safe Streets for All, Comprehensive Safety Action Plan.
All right, so we held our 2 open houses on January 24th. We were at the Jackson Civic Center. Following that, on the 25th, we were at the Shawnee Sports Complex. It was open house forum, so we had informational boards all throughout the rooms, along with our staff members there and our consultants to help facilitate conversations with folks. We also had printed versions of our public survey, and we had information about our public input mapping tool. That's the web-based map tool where folks can go online and actually geolocate issues and safety concerns that they have throughout our planning area. Immediately following our open houses, we held our stakeholder meetings. On the 29th, we met with the school administrators. On the 30th, we met with bike and pedestrian representatives. On February 6th, we met with public safety officials. And then on February 8th, we met with human services and underserved population representatives. As for our next steps, the survey is now closed, so our consultants are analyzing the input they received, along with the input we received on our public input maps. They'll be, based on those results, they'll be developing programs and policy recommendations. Also be developing safety toolkits for us to be able to utilize. They'll be analyzing BMT reduction strategies. And then with all of that, they plan to collect that and put it in an administrative draft form by the end of July. So that'll give us August, September timeframe to issue any comments and allow them to incorporate those. And then in August, as part of our project timeline, we plan a third community open house where we can share the draft with the public. So we're still on schedule. As part of our grant agreement, we have to have the safety action plan completed by the end of December of this year. We have to have the plan adopted by the end of January of 2025. And then we have to issue our final reports to Federal Highway by the end of March 2025. Any questions on that plan?
No questions there. We'll move on to item B, SEMPO Regional Trail Connection Study.
All right, we're finally under contract with our consultant. Again, we chose Playing Design Studios, who partnered with Lockwood Group in their proposal. On the eve of us signing, we issued requests to Jackson, Cape County, and the city of Cape Girardeau for their GIS data. And as we speak, I know that they're going back and forth and trying to collect all that right now. And I'm working with our consultants on a project kickoff meeting. Typically, we host those during our TPC meetings since everybody's gathered. So we'll be looking at a March, April kickoff for that project.
Any questions on connection study? Item C, intersection studies.
Early February, on February 6th, we held our Route D corridor study open house at the Jackson Middle School. This is following the two stakeholder group meetings that we had, one for 621 Perryville Road, and then one for the Route D corridor study. And really, that's all we had contracted them to do, was those two stakeholder meetings and then develop proposed solutions for us and issue final reports. But during the Route D corridor study stakeholder meeting, it became evident due to the proximity of the middle school that this particular intersection would be a really good candidate for grant opportunities. So in recognizing that, we decided to prioritize the Route D corridor study so we could have that final report issued, so Jackson could have that report in hand to pursue any opportunities that they deem worthy. But a lot of those grant programs require very intentional public engagement. So we held the open house to be able to check that box for any grant program. And I just want to commend our consultant CBB for going above and beyond and coordinating that and hosting that meeting. That was outside of their scope, but they did it anyway. And the open house I thought was very good. We had a project website that CBB stood up that provided a video that they had made with our our consultant engineers, but then also school administrators at Jackson Middle School and teaching staff that are actually responsible for having the kids cross every day. So very impactful. We had two different videos going during the open house. One was this video, and then another one on a different screen was a video of their conceptual design. There's a video graphic of pedestrians trying to cross with traffic and the different solutions they propose and how those play out. So I thought it was good. It wasn't as attended as we had hoped, but we kind of interpreted that as folks being pretty much okay with our proposed design solutions. We didn't have anybody coming out complaining about proposed sidewalks in their yard or anything. So overall productive. Following this open house, they immediately prioritize the production of this report. So we'll get this one within the coming weeks, and then we can expect the 621 and Perryville Road final report around the April, May timeframe. Any questions on intersection studies?
What would the grant opportunity be? Probably the first one.
One that we had discussed is the Transportation Alternatives Program through MoDOT. That one is expected to be open in March. So if Jackson wanted to pursue that with the school, we could have that report in time for you guys to submit with that. But there's other federal programs that, with its proximity to the school, leaves it to be pretty competitive for those programs.
Any other questions on the intersection study? Okay. Tip tool selection.
Okay, we entered into a 3-year management, maintenance, and service agreement with Echo Interactive. This was a result of our steering committee doing a number of different demos and then issuing a request for proposal and receiving 2 and selecting really the one that we had been eyeing for a while as kind of the standard of functionality we wanted to see. So now that we're under contract, we are working with our old vendor DTS to get all of our data transferred over to the new software. Our agreement with Eco Interactive outlines about a 4-month or 16-week implementation timetable. So it'll be a little bit until we get it up and running, just due to all the information that has to be transferred. But once we do, I think we'll be very happy with the enhanced features that this tool provides.
Any other questions on the tip tool? Move on to the origin and destination envelope tool.
This one I don't have any further update on. We had received 2 different demos with myself, the Chamber of Commerce, and SEMPO Ready on Placer, AI, and then Replica, 2 O&D software vendors. 2 programs that provide similar services, but with 2 different focuses. So I'm still kind of in discussions with Rob Gilligan from the Chamber and then SEMPO Ready folks. If it makes sense to partner on something, or if it makes more sense to kind of go on our own with what we're looking to do with it.
You look at the orientation and destination study, is that work with that?
Yes,
We'll talk about next.
well, that's the one we're on, right?
Yes.
But in the priority list, one of the projects is the origin and destination study.
Oh, yeah.
Would you use that tool in the study, or is that?
That was our initial thoughts, because this planning year, we put a significant number of projects compared to previous years. We had decided to scale back the idea of doing a complete O&D study on our planning area and do a smaller investment with the actual analytical tool that generates that data. So that was our initial idea behind it.
Any other questions on the origin destination tool? On to item F, FY 25 Unified Work Program.
At our TPC meeting, and I'll refer you to these two handouts, the one with this table, and then the one pager front and back with our list of projects. This month was the first time I approached our planning committee with tasking them with helping develop our work plan for the year. So they don't have a formal recommendation for you as of yet. That'll most likely be next month. That will be providing that to you. But I did want you somewhat aware of some of the conversations that we did have earlier this month. The first handout shows you our timetable. This is the table one. Our timetable for federally required planning documents. The first planning document for FY25, believe it or not, I'm recommending an update to our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. It's federally required to be updated every 5 years. We adopted it in April. So if we plan it for FY26, when it's set to expire, we'll have 10 months to complete it before it expires. But if we start it in FY25, which is our upcoming fiscal year, July 1, that would give us 22 months to complete it. So I'd be much more comfortable with the 22-month time frame, especially since our last update we had done during COVID was an abbreviated timetable. While I think we were successful and were able to produce a very good document, it wasn't the most fun experience to cram it in. I think Marla can attest to that as well. So a heavy recommendation for doing that one this upcoming fiscal year. We had also talked about, we had been doing our transportation improvement program update every 4 years. MoDOT had recommended either every year or every other year. So I looked at the idea of starting every 2 years this upcoming fiscal year. But with our transition currently our tool to this Echo Interactive, I think it would complicate that. The way our planning committee left it every 3 years with potential of abbreviating it to every 2 years in the future, simply due to our transition of the TIP tool. And then we also have our Title VI on our language assistance plan, which will need updated this fiscal year as well. So some are already preset. Our trail study will also bleed over into fiscal year 25. Seeing how we're just now really kicked off with that, and the end of our fiscal year is the end of June. So we'll have all those various projects going on. So I've tasked our planning committee with reviewing this list that I provided of potential projects that we had discussed before and making a recommendation to the board probably at their next meeting.
Any questions on the work program at this point? We'll move on to member reports. We get to start with the city of Jackson.
Okay, there's a couple projects we're working with our engineering group. Strickland is working with MoDOT to get approval so that we go forward with our street lights on East Jackson Boulevard. Sure, no, they're still packing back, but that's a I guess probably our first economic development priority that we have. We'd like to get that out to bid as soon as possible, which will be, going from exit 99 around Buckeyes to Walmart with street lights, which has been dark for a long time. So we're working on that project. Discussions at the council about our, after the Highway 61 North project is done, the next big project will be around about at Deerwood. And we're having discussions about what to put in the middle of the roundabout, which is maybe taking more time than roundabout planning. I'm not sure. We have a lot of opinions, but we've got our rules. So we're trying to stand within those rules. So it's about opinions about signage and greenery and all that stuff. But we're working on through. And then I guess we are in the planning stage, and we'll go out with the bids as we go through the year for our maintenance programs for concrete and asphalt. One thing the asphalt program will include this year will be the paving of our street from PP down to the soccer park, which has been goal for a long time. We'll get the parking lot done, but we'll get the street done hopefully, this year as part of our, asphalt program. I guess that, anything else, sir?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
Do you have anything to add? Okay, we'll take Charter County.
Not much. Highway guys are kind of getting together to see if we want to pave this year at overlay. Let's do that and see what happens. On that, starting on, we got our tap grant. We were getting down or something like that, sidewalk through, County Park.
Preliminary plans right now.
So that'll take us into next year probably, with the project. It's big. And that's about it.
Cape Transit Authority.
Nothing new to report. We got some new vehicles coming. Hopefully it'll be here in the next couple of weeks. I know it's exciting.
Authority, Andy.
Not a whole lot new to report. We're still waiting on MARAD as far as how we're moving forward with our grant. And they're taking an awful long time to get back to us. We're just on, put everything on hold.
Well, we've got a bunch of projects in the works. If you've been out to the airport recently, you'll see the terminal is moving along really great. We're working on the interior right now, a lot of moving parts in there. So we're still on target for the June completion date, so everything's looking good. We are now shifting focus to our taxiway reconstruction projects that we've got coming up. So right now we're in the design phases of taxiways, Echo Delta and Foxtrot. So just trying to continue that progress. And just trying to keep things going.
CMRPC, I will say that a couple of things that are coming up are we're starting our sets process that is due. It's due to end the draft is due in EDA by the end of September. We're going to have our first kickoff for our sets after our RPC meeting next Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the following Wednesday, after the TPC meeting, we'll be having a Cape County focused meeting for the sets. So we really invite all of the TPC members to stick around. This has to do with just all the economic development strategies, the whole region, but we're trying to get focused in on each county and roll those in. So, you know, it affects transit, it affects transportation, it affects, you know, airports and rail and all the good stuff. So as much input as we can get, we're really looking forward to kind of flush this right now.
When is it? Did you say?
It'll be after the TPC meeting,
Oh,
which is
so the next meeting.
March 6th. Food will be provided. 12:30.
It's TPC.
The SEDS meeting is here, in this room, same room. And then Alex had mentioned Placer AI is one of the tools they looked at. The RPC partnered with a couple of our members this last year, and we had a subscription to Placer AI. It's a very good economic development tool. It does a lot of tracking and that type of thing. But transportation's a little weaker in that tool, so I can see the hesitation. But our contract is due to renew in April, and we're currently having conversations on how that contract's going to renew. Partners going to stay involved, but we are looking at, you know, opening that up as a service to our members. So if the MPO does need Placer reports ran, let us know. We're working out the details on that. But if the subscription continues, that would be a service that's available to the county, the cities, and whoever would like to see that data.
And I know when I've worn my city hat, the type of information that's able to generate is very helpful, especially with grant application.
Yes. Yeah. Especially if you're looking at retail expansions or locations, gap analysis, it's pretty good for that type of stuff. Jerry, have anything? We will move on to MoDOT.
I
think it's worth mentioning that we have 72 outlet again. You know, so this is the third time. I'm hoping that a few conversations help get that moved along. The asphalt there's nearly double what we normally see because it's night work, and I've tried explaining that there just aren't night crews in the area, and I'm hoping that the second rejection was because our district or state design engineer was retiring and he just didn't reach out to me and said, well, this is high, and moved on. So I'm hopeful, and I'm trying to advocate for it.
When's that come in?
The bids are in.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, the award will be, the first week of March,
Oh,
or the rejection.
I reject. Yeah.
I mean, I've tried to explain some of that asphalt's 20 years old and we're right at the end of its life, and I'd really like to get that in this summer, so. It's virtually the same price. I mean, it went up $3,000 last time. I think it's down 20,000 on a $3 million contract, so it's all in the same spot.
Fourth time we'll probably say.
Or worse, people quit bidding. I also think it's worth mentioning, I know I-70 is a long way away, but it's pretty big that MoDOT awarded a $405 million design build from Kingdom City to Columbia. It has significant improvements at Columbia on 63 highway with additional underpasses and roundabouts. It's rebelizing existing pavement, new concrete pavement on all of I-70 for 20 miles both directions. To me, it's nice to follow that because that's a change in the way things work, that's general revenue. You know, I hear discussions about general revenue and governor cost share again. I don't know where they'll land, but I'm always optimistic that between local roads, paving, and the focus on bridge and the I-70, that trend will continue. Part of why I need that to continue, we're in the middle of our STIP update cycle right now, and I'd say last year we updated our prices of asphalt from about $60 to $80, thinking that we weren't quite as high as the rest of the state, and that turned out to not be near enough. I think there's a piece of inflation as well as a piece of capacity. So I'm about 17% over budget for the district this year because of asphalt, and we're seeing prices in the $96 to $100 range. So, you know, we went from 60 to 80 last year. I think we're headed closer to 100. Or mid-90s this year. And what that generally means is you'll see very few changes in our program. We have a few like on-call things and a few asset projects, but in my career, I've had 6 months where we were flush, and I enjoyed those 6 months, but now I'm relying on general revenue. And that's really all I have to talk about.
The Route 25 project for the roundabout there at King 25. We had a pre-construction meeting on February 8th this last month, and Fronnenberg contractors, they plan to get started on that around the 1st of April. Tentative on mixed design approvals and those sorts of things, but that's what it's looking at right now. They're pretty much going to be working with some sort of staged construction throughout the life of that project. So there won't ever really be a time where the traffic's not really impacted throughout the course of that project. So their work hours are 6 to 3:30 Monday through Friday. So just keep that in mind. The US 61 project there in town, I spoke with our construction staff here recently, and they're still working on utility relocations on that project, but they're moving along fairly well, I guess you'd say, with the sewer and stormwater relocations. They're still working through some complications with charter on the existing poles to help to get through that in the near future, but they do have some good news. They've scheduled the boring company to come in and pre-drill the borings for the bridge, which has already been removed, and start driving piling within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Also, in the next 4 weeks, tentatively starting paving on the project as well. So in the next month or so, we're going to be working on something other than utilities. So that's a good thing. Yeah. We did award a project on Route D over Bird Creek. I should have looked this up before I came, but we've been including 2 construction seasons in most of our contracts to allow some flexibility for contractors to be able to complete projects and kind of give us a more affordable competitive bid. My guess is that's the case for this contract that we awarded, so hopefully they won't start work on that project until 61 is done, because even though they're not right there together, they could have sort of an impact on one another. But Joe's Bridge and Grading was awarded that contract. It was a bundle of bridges for $3.4 million throughout several different counties. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was, I think you guys have already talked about it a little bit, but we do have the tentative LPA grant cycles coming up. TAP is March 1st through April 26th. TEEP is August 1st through September 12th. And if you don't know what TEEP is, it's a Transportation Engineering Assistance Program. So kind of like the studies you guys are doing at the school there at Jackson and Farmington, you could apply for this at those locations funding. And then BRO, which is off System Bridge program, is October 1st to November 12th. The only thing I'd like to add to that is that when the TAP call comes out, please try to get those applications turned in as early as possible. I personally would like to review the applications and see if there's any challenges that maybe you hadn't considered about the project, whether that's right of way, steep slopes, just anything that may make delivering those projects within the 2-year window that you're allowed complicated, because once your budget's set for that program and it's set by the application and the estimate that you have in that application, there's really no increasing it after that. So it does create some challenges when you get into it and you figure out, well, we didn't have enough right of way, or we didn't really account for entrances or those sorts of things. So please, when those calls come out, try to get those turned in as early as possible. A few things to bring up. Statewide planning partner meeting is next week, February 29th. So hope to see, I guess, Alex, are you planning to?
You just stole my one staff update.
I'm good for that. We're still working on a SIP development, trying to get projects in, updating the estimates and get those in. Our internal schedule runs early March for us to kind of have all those things in, and then central office runs a bunch of kind of checks and balances, and then we may have to shift some things around. So hopefully we'll have updated estimates to the MPO for inclusion in the new tip. I'm sure that Drew is looking forward to that. Maybe can you do it with both pieces of software? That would be excellent. We're still waiting on functional classification requested changes. These are the actual streets that we had submitted for both Cape Girardeau and Jackson, amongst the other communities that we submitted. Basically, I submitted the ones that were within approved areas that they had already approved. The area boundaries were already approved. There are some that were not approved that I have to go back and speak with the county commissioners on to get those approved, but those were not Cape and Jackson. And last item really probably doesn't really pertain to this group particularly, but for SEMO RPC, Chris Rutledge has submitted his retirement paperwork as assistant district engineer, retiring at the end of this month. So I know the RPC has worked with him for several years, back whenever he was planning manager and for the South Central District. So just bringing that up, we'll have a new assistant district engineer coming up sometime. I'm sure we'll have him in here to introduce. But just bringing that up, that's all that I have.
IDOT, Tom.
I have nothing to report, but I have questions. East West Gateway had just had a executive advisory committee meeting Tuesday. And I guess it's only affecting the TMAs, but MoDOT has adjusted this year, from what I understand, as far as the STBG projects being previously had a 4-year time frame, is now reduced to a 3-year. Is that something that doesn't affect people whatsoever? Well, they're really concerned. It's something that they were able to accomplish it, but and they're speaking, they only spoke with themselves, Kansas City and Springfield, so I think it's only the PMAs. But there a couple of the committee members were from the citizenry were planning on going to the planning meeting next week. They were asking if they could come, because they're concerned. So it's anyway.
I'm guessing that has to do with August redistribution and the way that the federal transportation bill changed in such a way that we have to hit every category in order to compete for that. And we weren't, MoDOT was more lenient than federal rules for the amount of time you had to spend money. And we hit TMAs first because they have the most money. They amazingly were able to obligate everything they needed to, and I know they talked about.
Yeah, last year they were able to do some jumbling, but it's again a concern.
I believe it's like $165 million statewide that is at risk of not being able to grab in August redistribution if we don't allocate enough money.
If it's not obligated, it gets back into your general pool.
Yeah. All those things are tied about delivering projects timely and making sure we hire consultants that can deliver on time.
Well, just as and the discussion as far as, having challenge in getting projects to finish out is just built on with the addition that they're having,
It's even more challenging when you have a $50 million project in the middle of St. Louis City. I mean, their utilities make the Jackson ones look pretty simple.
Well, right away and such was just a big challenge that they were speaking of. Yeah.
Well, the 4 years to 3 year tap and VRO is only 2 years, so it could be worse. And they have to go through all the environmental and right of way process as well.
Mark, if they can't spend it, have them bring it down here.
They're actually pressure enough too to make sure we're delivering things on time, and they keep trying to figure out how to split it up by planning agency, and I haven't seen that number yet. I think they split it by district at one point, but that doesn't really help me know who's behind and who's not. Really, if you're looking for money, cost share is another one right now. The cost share applications, when they open, I would say this is probably your best bet. I mean, that pot of money continues to grow.
Yeah, there was some concern at the last meeting about the lack of applications coming through. And they were gonna have some internal discussions about, are there ways or things we might look at to see if there's a way to improve the number of applications being submitted. So certainly we would like to see that. I'd like to see more of that money come back to the district as opposed to going elsewhere in the state.
You can increase applications if you change your cost share from 50 to 60/40.
Honestly, I believe that there's a lot of things are going to be considered, Jeremy, and they're supposed to come out and have some discussions. There may be some changes that we have not foreseen and could potentially improve that. I'm looking forward to it.
Unofficial discussions were just along those lines of maybe even 75-25, but it'd have to be on the unfunded needs list. So then it would have to be a priority of the planning organization in order to get more than 50-50. But that was just a concept. I mean, there was also the concept of sweeping a bunch of money and allocating it for asset management and then letting the pot grow again. Because we want to make sure we're spending all the money that's coming in, so. I didn't mean to derail all that, it all ties in, money,
No, I mean, that kind of emphasizes what we've been saying about the unfunded needs list too, so.
yeah.
And one thing with cost share, it's gotta be on the state system, so. The governor's cost share, when that,
That's another change you can do, you can build, like the governor's program.
well, the governor's was general revenue, so that was a separate animal for us, and that's. The rules we have with the state funds were that they had to be on state system, but. With the regular cost share program, but I foresee there could be some changes coming and. Those applicants who are looking around and trying to find potential opportunities. May be able to, get a project.
So don't say MoDOT said that that's gonna happen, those are hallway discussions right now, so.
I heard 75-25.
Well, you could say I proposed that, but it doesn't mean that it got.
Thank you. Last, we have Betsy Tracy, Federal Highway. Do you have? any
I don't have
report?
anything further. Thank you.
Okay, so staff report. Joe took your thunder, so,
Nothing to report.
all right. Does anybody have any other business to discuss or want to bring up? Not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion, second, all in favor? All right, adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things that they were really disturbed with.